What is up everyone, Kate here from Maybe Tennis. Hope you guys are doing great today. Today we are talking about another racket. That racket is the Babolat Pure Strike 98 16 by 19. Now before we get into the video though, thanks to Tennis On for sending me this racket. They're sending me a lot of these rackets that I do review on the channel, so big thank you to them. If you are wanting to buy a new racket, some new shoes, some tennis equipment, or anything of that nature, be sure to check out their website, or maybe even in person in Montreal in their store. You can use our code to get a little bit of a discount on any tennis products there. And also do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Like said in previous videos, on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Subscribing to us is the easiest way to support us, and it's free of charge for you guys, of course. So the Babolat Pure Strike 16 by 19. I did play with this racket a few weeks ago when I was at home. I am at school now, so I'm no longer playing with it, but I did have a very good experience with it. It's a great racket. I'm happy to tell you about it. Unfortunately, I don't have it in my hands today just because it's at home right now, and I can only bring so much on the plane, guys. So I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. It's definitely a good racket, and let's jump into it here now. So first, let's start off with the cosmetic. Great looking racket. I've always enjoyed the look of the Pure Strike rackets. Somebody told me the other day, there's gloss, there's velvet, and there's matte. I think it's called matte. I love the finish on this racket. It feels nice in your hand, that texture on the racket. I think it looks good. I know that's just my opinion, but I know everybody else may think something different. So yeah, nice little paint job. Got that red and white with the Pure Strike on the side there. So cosmetic for me, I enjoy it, but let's get into what I think about the racket. We're gonna do tail of the tape again. It was a great success, as Borat would say, for my Borat people. You know what I'm talking about. It was a great success with the last Extreme Pro. So we're gonna continue on with tail of the tape. So starting with Groundstrokes. I would probably give this racket it's tough to say, it's very close to the 3 check, but I'm gonna give it 2 checks. I think it's just missing a tiny bit to kind of push it over the edge. It wasn't amazing. You're able to feel the ball well from the back. You get great spin. The Pure Drive line is like Babolat's most complete line, at least in my eyes. You get good power, you get good spin, but sometimes I feel like you may feel a tiny bit disconnected. I just feel like that with Babolat frames in general. That's why I can't quite give it, 3 checks, but it's still quite solid, so I'm giving it 2. So yeah, 2 checks on the Groundstrokes. Moving up to net, this racket, in my eyes, is the best Babolat racket at the net, at least the Pure Strike line. I can't kind of compare it to the 1820 or the 97 Pure Strike, but I believe the Pure Strike is the best racket in the Babolat line at the net. I will give it 2 checks though. You're missing a little bit from time to time. It definitely does the job. If you get like a nice block volley, it'll do the job, or put away volleys, it feels great. But comparing to, like a Wilson Blade or my Radicals, or even like the Extreme Pro, which we've recently talked about on this channel, you don't quite get that feeling of like, I don't know, with those rackets, you just feel every last sensation of the ball coming in and out of the string bed in a good way. So that's why I'm giving it 2. It performed well on overheads as well, but it's very close to being in the 3 check round, but it's just not quite there. Backing up, we'll hit some serves. I thought this performed quite well on serves actually. I'll give it 3 checks here. Nice blend of control, power, feel, and spin. For me, the serve's really important. I'll throw a racket away right away if I don't enjoy it on serve. I normally generate some good free points off a flat serve, and I enjoy really kicking my serve as well, even mixing it in on a first serve as well. So this racket did perform well with some serving. Also, you're able to bring your opponent out, outside the tram lines on the ad side if you're a righty with the kick, and for a slice with the deuce. I enjoy doing that with this racket. I think that if you're somebody that does enjoy moving your opponent off the court with a serve, you will enjoy this racket. And it's weird because on the serve, I actually felt more connected to the ball compared to the other strokes. Not sure why. Maybe it's because I have more control, with the toss, and that's really the only shot in tennis that you do have control over. So maybe that's why. But serve was very good, so 3 checks for that. And a quick little break. I did string it up at 50 pounds with Tourmaline Caviar in the main and Super Tour in the cross. If you guys are interested in checking out, my setup, that's what I'm using right now. You can be sure to go on Tourmaline and use our code to get a discount. I will be talking about some more Tourmaline stuff here in the future, but I've just been super busy. So I'm excited to show you guys some reviews with that coming soon. So the opposite of serve is return, and I would also say this it's definitely close to 3 once again. This racket is like super close to greatness, but it's just like shy of a couple things. Now I didn't add weight, so maybe if I was adding weight in some places, it might have performed better, but yet I didn't actually feel like I needed it. Some rackets you just don't feel like you need the weight. In this case, that's how I felt with this Pure Strike 1619. I'm gonna go with 2 checks still, just because I feel like, once again, that feeling coming off the string bed, not my favorite. I don't know what it is. Like, for some reason, I can pick one of 2 ways. I can go big power with like a pure arrow, and like I'm accepting the fact that I know I'm not gonna have that feeling. Like maybe I would with like a pro staff or a blade, or like I said, extreme pro, radical, etc. I can accept the fact that I'm not gonna have that with a racket if I'm playing with a pure arrow or a pure drive. But when this racket is like in the middle, it still offers that power, but then like it's supposed to be more control oriented and feel. I just feel like if you're comparing it to other rackets, it just does not, it's just not as good in my opinion. So that's why we're still gonna give it 2 checks. It performed well. Like I was able to, hit good returns. You can chip well as well, but just that feedback, I don't love it. Moving on to power, the overall power potential of this racket, I'll keep this one brief. 3 checks for sure. I love the controllable power this racket offers. It's not overkill like maybe some other rackets, like just mentioned. Sometimes people find the Babolat arrows and the pure drives are a little overkill if you can't tone them down, where something like this is perfect, especially for that intermediate advanced player that wants a little bit control but still gets that power from the frame. And of course you can kind of tailor it to your own spec and stuff with string, but I do feel like this racket is definitely 3 checks on power. Now the opposite to power, we got control, and I think I will also give this one 3 checks as well. And it's close to being 2, but I feel like the difference between feel and control, they're different, right? You do get good control considering there is power in this frame. The control it offers is very good. The controllable power, like I just talked with the power, is really good. So I can't really knock it big time. I do think it's 3 checks, especially if you're used to that Babolat racket. And if you're moving from a previous Pure Strike, this is gonna be such an easy transition for you as well. On to maneuverability. Maneuverability, I give it 3 checks. The only thing I will say is I don't love actually the feeling of the racket in the heart, throat, neck area, whatever you do call it. That is not my favorite from this Pure Strike. I just feel like it's quite wide, and it's not bulky, but it's just wide. It just didn't feel good in my hand, like if I'm gonna turn to a forehand in my, not my right hand, but my left hand, if you're kind of holding your racket there. It's just, it didn't feel as good as some other rackets did. That's not really maneuverability, but I didn't really love the feeling at least there, but I do give it 3 checks. Next we have stability. Overall, didn't add any weight, didn't need to add any weight, so I give it 3 checks. We'll keep this one short and sweet. Like I said, up at net, it performed average. Was able to do all the work there. If I got like a tough ball or anything, it wasn't like the racket buckled or anything, so we're gonna give it 3 checkaroos. Touch, feel, this is where we talked about where I think it could be better. I'm not gonna go super harsh though and say it's 1 check. I feel like 1 check is way too harsh. Like I would give a Pure Arrow 100 a 1 check. This is better than a Pure Aero 100 or Pure Drive, so I have to give it 2, but it's definitely like a low end 2. I've kind of talked about this so far a lot in the video. It's just not my favorite racket. The feedback compared to other rackets is just not my favorite. And last but not least, we have Slice, which will get 3 checks, and we have Topspin, which will have 3 checks. The overall spin potential of this racket is really, really good, especially if you're like coming from a blade. I think you'll really notice that, or even like a radical. The spin you get on this is like honestly like the perfect amount. What you give for the spin is what you're gonna get. I feel like when you play like with, you know, E-zones or V-cores or Pure Drives or Pure Aeros, it's almost a little bit overwhelming, the spin. You feel like you have to play with spin. With this Pure Drive, you don't, or sorry, Pure Strike, you don't have to, but it gives you a little bit. But if you want to play with some more, it will give you some more. And that goes for the Slice. Felt great, was able to knife through the court well. So yeah, that's why I give 3 checks and 3 checks for Slice and Topspin. So there you have it, guys. We'll add all these checks up here and we'll see what the final score is. Definitely a good racket. I know I might have been a little nitpicky here and there, but I definitely think I think it was a good update, you know, to the old one. I didn't review the old one, but I did play with it. Like I said, intermediate, advanced. I think this is a good college player's racket as well. And yeah, you can also add weight if you want to as well. The other thing I did not mention is I did do the swing weights, and balance with this racket. So as you guys can see on the screen here, we'll be able to show you what those numbers were. The specs are going to be a little bit different. You know, if you string yours and swing weight yours with a different string. I did notice that with a couple of rackets. I'm new to the swing weight stuff. Big thanks to Perfidi for sending me this. I'm going to feature it in all my videos here from now on. But these were what the specs came out to. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.